Have you ever wondered what happens to the things you throw away? According to EPA, or Environmental Protection Agency, 54.2% is sent to the landfills, 11.7% is combusted for energy, and 34.1% is recycled. When one thinks of recycling, they think of a sticky and dirty process. This may be true, but you can make it easier and more effective. It is important to educate people everywhere about recycling because it reduces time, energy, and it reduces the pollution in the environment. Hi, my name is Shiley Irwin, and today I'm going to talk to you about the history of recycling, positives and negatives, and what can actually be recycled. The history of recycling. Recycling dates back to 400 BC. According to All Recycling, archaeological evidence indicates that glass from the BC times were being recycled in ancient cities, which we now know as Turkey. Previously mentioned organization also states that Rome recycled bronze coins. They melted them down and then sold them for a higher price than the coins were actually worth at that time. Jewelry and coins are also melted down, and then they are changed into weapons which they used during the war times. They did this because it was easier to recycle materials than it was to make new materials from things that they had to find. According to Gary Gardner, Asia was not into recycling because the products there were new and easier to find. Pre-industrial times. Households often used recyclable items because it was cheaper to reuse the items for cleaning and cooking than actually making a new item. According to All Recycling, when materials were worn out and could not be used for their original use, they were melted down and turned into a new item. Metals were often an example, and they were used for building. During this time, they did this because they wanted to ensure the economic security and the financial security of the homes. War times. As we all know way too well, war affects everyone, even in the homeland. World War II has a highlight for recycling. Everyone banded together and donated metals and other household materials. Though this made the household life harder, it helped contribute to the war, even though the people were not there. People started to use less at home and sent most of their metals and other things overseas to our soldiers. Often people said that this was an act of patriotism, and that's why people were doing it, because they wanted to feel like they were helping the war even though they were not there. After World War II, according to All Recycling, recycling lessened in 1940s to the 1950s because it was cheaper just to send everything to the landfills than actually recycle it. But in 1970, energy costs spiked and everyone started to recycle again. But in 1960, before all of this happened, Gary Anderson entered a contest in Chicago to come up with a symbol for the recycling containers there. That is now the symbol that you see on every recycling container throughout the world. But it now means reduce, reuse, and recycle. According to All Recycling, Woodbury, New Jersey was the first city to ever make recycling mandatory for that city. The negatives. Recycling is very time-consuming. First, you have to clean the materials. Once they're cleaned, you have to figure out if those materials are actually even able to be recycled, and then you sort them. And once they're sorted, you have to take them to the center where they're going to be recycled and then sent someplace else so they get turned back into a different material. This work can be very dirty and grubby, and it's also unsanitary, so people also have a problem with that. But the positives. It saves our environment. According to All Recycling, if you recycle 1 ton of paper, it saves 17 trees, 270 pounds of sulfur, 350 pounds of limestone, 9,000 pounds of steam, 60,000 pounds of water, and 225 kilowatt hours of energy. And along with that, it reduces the landfill space by 3.3 cubic yards. It also provides jobs, because when you recycle, people have to be able to turn the materials back into other recyclables, and that creates a lot of jobs that are high-paying. And it saves energy. Normal recycled material takes 70% less energy than a virgin material to be turned back into the same product. And finally, it reduces greenhouse gases. What can you actually recycle? According to recyclingtown.com, aluminum batteries, computers, electronics, glass, paper, plastics, tires, and water can all be recycled. But Wendy Cook from USA Today pointed out something recently, that clothes can be recycled. But first, let's look at aluminum. Aluminum is the material that is used to coat the Hershey Kisses. There are 20 million Hershey Kisses created each day. That uses 133 square miles of aluminum, and most of that is not recycled. Though many people do not know, recycling aluminum is the fastest way to recycle because aluminum can be changed back into a different product in just 60 days. So now paper. Deforestation is happening at a rate of 100 acres per minute. One tree can be turned into 700 grocery bags, and that is used in just 1 hour in a supermarket. Plastic. 250,000 bottles are dumped into the landfills every day, and each of those bottles takes 700 years to decompose. Now glass. Many people overlook glass because you don't think it can be recycled. But according to Recycling Across America, it can be recycled completely and never wears out, and it is in very high demand. Water is the most abused and wasted of the materials that can be recycled. Clothing, you might not think can be recycled, but Cook from USA Today says the average American throws away 70 pounds of clothes a year. 15% of those clothes are recycled, compared to 72% newspapers that are recycled, and 50 soda cans, says USA EPA. Also, clothing clogs up the landfills because it will never decompose. Recycling has been around for many years, and there are many positives and negatives, but it is the person's choice if they want to recycle. So we need to take the effort and actually educate people about what recycling is. And once people know, they might recycle, they might not, but it is our environment and we need to take that initiative. So many people think recycling is just plastics, but you can recycle many things like glass, metal, water, clothes. There's even another thing that you can recycle. It's called chipboard. It's what's wrapped in your cereal boxes and stuff like that. Also, you can do cardboard, which is what you use in FedEx, and that's what sends. I hope you all feel more educated about the history of recycling and what can actually be recycled. As you take this information, I hope you learned a lot from it. And then this is my works consulted that I used for my sources. Thanks.